It is ironic that I was tagged for this particular tag for a multitude of reasons. You see, today I will be completing the bread book tag as created by the literary Gladiators. And this is my family's bread. And this too. This is no exception. This is also my family's bread. And this is my bread. I am gluten-free, so I have not had real bread since probably the 6th grade, which was, oh my gosh, 5 years ago. This is me toasting my toast for breakfast to prepare for this tag. This is me butchering my toast while trying to spread butter. And this is the sky today because I thought it looked pretty. Okay, let's go. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Maya, and today I will be completing the bread book tag challenge by Josh at the literary Gladiators. Thank you for tagging me, Josh. I will link your channel down below, and audience members, please feel free to check it out. We've established why it's so funny that I have been tagged for this, but overall I think it's a really creative and fun idea. The prompts are actually really insightful, so I hope this not only gives you some recommendations for books to check out, but also maybe inspires you to complete your own bread book tag challenge. Here we go. Prompt number 1. White Bread, a work of 21st century genre fiction you can see studied in years to come. I'm not very far into the book I'm going to pick for this, but I can already tell that it will withstand the test of time, and that is 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. This is a dystopia. I believe it draws a lot of inspiration from George Orwell. It's pretty spooky, scary, but the writing that this author does, it's just phenomenal. He does not write in the traditional sense of a storyline, in the Western definition of what a story ought to look like. His plots are a lot less linear. They're not driven particularly by action. They're more character focused, and apparently they're just incredible to read. I'm about 1 chapter into this book, as I said, not far at all, but I can tell it is a work of 21st century genre fiction that will be around for a long time. Okay, Whole Wheat, a work you are reluctant to read but feel you need to read. For me, this would be The Old Man and the Sea, or In the Sea, or On the Sea, I'm guessing, and the Sea. This is a book my friends at school had to read in their freshman year of high school. I went to a different school freshman year, so I was not required to read this book. Everyone complains about it. Apparently it's just so boring and you're waiting for the main character to die. Like, that is the whole point of reading, is to wait for him to die. And I think that's really sad because it's a very well acclaimed and received book. I know it's supposed to be a little boring and dull, but I know I need to read it because it's important to read things you don't think you'll enjoy and judge your preconceptions. The next prompt is Italian Bread, a writer who can do any genre or category. Ooh, I'm gonna have to say Jon Krakauer, who wrote Into the Wild. I always get Into the Wild and Call of the Wild mixed up, but this is Into the Wild. Jon Krakauer was a sports journalist, I believe, an outdoors adventure journalist, and he was phenomenal at that, obviously. I think that's something he still regularly does, but he's also a really good author in terms of portraying something that's really happened as an engaging story. The novel Into the Wild is about a man, a college-aged man, who decides to leave his education, his money, everything behind, and go explore the Alaskan wilderness, and he ends up perishing in that trip. And it's a look into why this man decided to do this, what drove him, what in his familial situation or social circles would have driven him to completely isolate himself and go on an adventure. It was a really incredible read, one of my favorites that I've had to read for school. So yeah, I'd say Jon Krakauer. Another author that I've just recently gotten into, oh wait, one sec, the book's right behind the camera. Sorry. I'm back. The next author that I've just recently gotten into and I'm really thinking is going to be a very powerful figure in my literary life is Amy Tan. I'm currently reading The Joy Luck Club. It's fantastic. The writing is stunning. I love the characters, and I'm really engaged. I read this at the allergy shot clinic, and it's really easy to get bored at the allergy shot clinic, so I was immensely grateful for Amy Tan's incredible eloquence and storytelling abilities. Garlic bread. Which genre would you argue has the most versatility, and why? Ooh, okay, I'm not sure if this counts as a genre, but I'm going to say screenplays slash... Okay, we're just gonna go with plays. I think plays and musicals even, but we're gonna focus in on plays here, are a really versatile form of media. I also think plays are a really good way to get people into reading. Plays are a very visual way to experience a story that is not on the screen. It's a way of perceiving it in real time, just like in reading. Your reactions will have a lot to do with where you are, the setting in which you're reading, what you've experienced that day, what you had for breakfast even. Plays are not only a visual work, but they're a written work that's available to everyone, whereas the scripts for movies are a little harder to come by. I think plays have the opportunity to introduce a lot of people into reading, get them excited about the potential of storytelling, and expose them to a whole new world, a whole fantastic point of view. Pumpernickel, a work that was hard to digest. Okay, this is a pretty standard response, but I'm going to have to say Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. My main gripe with Twilight is really just the fact that Bella is a horrible protagonist. She's literally the cookie cutter of the, girl next door, not necessarily super pretty, but all the boys are attracted to her. She doesn't have any desires really of her own. When her man leaves, she's completely lost. I couldn't understand why that character would be a good role model for young girls. I know that not all main characters are protagonists, but I mean, okay, it's Twilight. I'm moving on. Rye, an overbearing perspective in a given work. Aha! Going back to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, shall we? Some guys named Jack and John, I think one of their last names is Tiffany, decided to write a screenplay for a new Harry Potter story. It's pretty obvious that J.K. Rowling had very little to do with the writing. She did approve it, and she has said that it is accepted as canon. 1. No, and 2, it is very clear that Jack and John and Jack did not pay much attention or read ever the Harry Potter series. There's some gaping plot holes. They go back to the Time Turners, which is one of the biggest mistakes J.K. Rowling made in writing the series. It's a major plot hole. It's just horrid. To me, I see where they were coming from. They wanted to reintroduce maybe a new generation into the magical world. I get that. But the perspective that was so overbearing in this was the lack of respect for the previous Harry Potter novels and the canon nature of them. It did not respect what had happened in the past. It did not respect the characters. I mean, Hermione became an old hag because she didn't marry Ron. Like, that's not our Hermione. I was really pissed with that book. Perspectives are great. I love reading new perspectives. I hated this particular one. Sourdough, a writer whose works are usually cynical. Well, I've only read The Great Gatsby, so I probably should read his other works before I make this definitive statement, but I would say F. Scott Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald has this peculiar way of writing where he describes elaborate scenes in beauty and joy, but you can tell that the joy is a mirage. It's all fake, it's all a facade, and life is just this tedious, monotonous rocking of a boat, and we all proceed forward with little hope in our futures. He's a very dark writer in a way because he was very observant of society around him, how shallow it was, and he wanted to provide commentary on that. And I 100% respect his writing. He's a classic writer, and I think his works are often cynical. Banana bread, a character that made something out of a given situation. Well, I can think of 3. One is a real human. We'll start with her. Julie Powell. I think of Julie and Julia. I read the novel. I liked the movie better. Julie Powell was doing her job post 9/11, and she hated her job. She felt like she was doing little with her life. She was bored. She didn't have her thing, but she did love to cook, and she really admired Julia Child. So she decided to start a blog called Julie and Julia. She decides to make every single recipe in that cookbook in the course of 365 days and log her experience. So I really enjoyed this book, not only because it's just a really fun thing for someone to do, but because she took a circumstance that was kind of dull and dark in her life and found a way to spice it up, if you will, to add some salt, a pinch of sugar. Ha ha ha. The character that I think follows this prompt perfectly would be Crass from the Lunar Chronicles. She's trapped in a satellite, but she is very creative. She learns how to become like this fantastic computer hacker. She's pretty incredible. Also, Eleanor Oliphant from Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Eleanor is living with some unresolved childhood trauma and mental illness. She has no friends. She does the same thing every week. Her life has become kind of a checklist rather than an experience. And Eleanor is given an opportunity in this book to make a friend. And even though she doesn't realize she's capitalizing on that in the moment, she takes that opportunity. She forms a really beautiful friendship with this guy named Raymond, and it all works out for her in the end. Challah, a work that helped you develop a better understanding of Judaism. So, this is where irony part 2 for this tag comes in. Number 1, we've established I'm the gluten-free girl doing the bread book tag. Number 2, I am Jewish, but I do not practice the faith, and I know very little about Judaism. One book that, when I was really young, helped me not necessarily understand the religion, but understand the prosecution that the Jewish community has faced forever, was the novel When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit, or something like that. It was in my school's library, and I picked it up, and I checked out that book pretty much every week. I thought it was so powerful. It's about a girl and her Jewish family during World War II. They're living in either Austria or Germany. And this little girl has a pink rabbit that she loves dearly and ends up having to leave behind because Hitler takes away every aspect of normality she has in her life. It was a really powerful book for me at that age. I'd say some other books that have really helped me would be The Diary of Anne Frank and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Matzo, a work that reminds you about the importance of modesty. Interesting. Modesty, in my opinion, has multiple definitions. You've got the traditional, more religious side where women are expected to dress conservatively, to be modest in their appearance so as not to allure or tempt men. And I completely disagree with that. I think people should be allowed to wear whatever the heck they want. But if you're talking about modesty in the sense that you need to be humble and you need to respect those around you despite your level of success, that is so important. And a book I think helped me understand that would probably be Daisy Jones and the Six. I've talked about this a few times on my channel. I'm a fan. It follows a fictional 70s band based on Fleetwood Mac as they become more popular, more famous, and are exposed to the sort of toxic culture of rock and roll that often includes a lot of drinking, drugs, hookup culture. It puts strain on their friendships and their relationships, and it makes them feel isolated from the world. Their experiences in that book, just the band in general, showed me how important it is that no matter how successful you are, no matter how much you've accomplished, you have to stay grounded, and you have to remain a human, and you have to put effort into that, because I think that money and fame and things like that are really easy ways to strip away humanity. They make you feel invincible, they make you feel immortal, but at the end of the day, we're all on a countdown. Like, we're all going to die. And I think that book showed me how important it is to really stick to your roots and love those who are most important to you. Daily Bread, a book that should be in every family home. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I don't want to explain because I don't think I need to. Next, we have Baguette. 3 books that are perfect to dip in and out of. The first one on my Baguette list would be Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I used to listen to this on audiobook all the time. If you ever had it on hold on Libby, I'm so sorry. That was me that checked it out constantly. I'm a big fan of Alice in Wonderland, and I felt like Meyer's take on Wonderland was incredible. It was a lot less dark, it was a lot more inviting. I loved that it was told from the perspective of the future Queen of Hearts. She baked lemon tarts, guys. Lemon tarts just sound so good. What if we make some lemon tarts? The next book that is easy to dip in and out of like balsamic vinegar and olive oil would be The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. This book follows Jean Perdu. And Jean Perdu is a guy living in France, and he is still getting over a relationship that did not work out when he was younger. He is a bookseller. He has a boat that is a bookshop, and he believes that books are a sort of medicine, that you can prescribe a specific book to help aid with a specific struggle. And I thought that was such a beautiful idea. The last book that's easy to dip in and out of is Henry Himself by Stuart Onan. This follows the story of Henry, and it's just about his life and what he regrets and what he loves about his life and the people in his life. And it's him wondering if he's done enough with his time here, if he's wasted it. And it's a good pondering of life. It's really insightful. Olive Garden Breadstick. Unexpectedly great book you read this year. Some unexpectedly good books I read this year would be This Is How It Always Is by Lori Frankel. I'd never heard of that book. I know it's pretty popular, but I had never heard of it. My friend Austin lent it to me, and it was stunning. It's definitely going to make my top 10 list this year. All right, we are on the second to last question, which is, what is your favorite kind of bread? Well, gluten-free, but my mom used to make this like epic zucchini chocolate chip bread, and that was pretty fantastic. And last but not least, bread truck. Who do you tag? For this particular bread book tag challenge, I would like to tag Susan at Sus Reads, Marlette at Books and Violets, Kristen at The Perks of Being a Book Flower, Books and Boba, and Charlotte's Reads. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. This was a bunch of fun. Thank you, Josh, for tagging me. And yeah, I will see y'all. Bye-bye.